Story of Sri Satyanarayan Swamiji. Worship of Lord Sri Satyanarayana, Sri Mahavishnu, is an integral part of Sanatan Dharma. This auspicious Satyanarayan Katha narration comes from one of the 18 Puranas, the Skanda Purana. It is in the form of dialogue between Lord Vishnu and sage Narada. Shri Satyanarayan Puja gives devotees the opportunity to shower the Lord with prema and bhakti, love and devotion, and in return, the four rewards of life are fulfilled. Dharma, which is the spiritual need, Artha, the material need, Kama, the personal need, and Moksha, the liberation. Once upon a time, 88,000 rishis assembled at the forest Naimisharana and asked Maharishi Suta, the narrator of the Puranas, "O Maharishi, please tell us how mankind can attain salvation." Maharishi Suta answered, "Once Narad Muni asked Lord Vishnu, the consort of goddess Lakshmi, the same question. I will tell you what Lord Vishnu told Narada. Once upon a time, while traveling the three worlds, Yogi Raj Narad Muni reached Mrityulok. He saw the human beings suffering immensely. He visited the abode of Lord Vishnu, who alone can relieve the mankind from sufferings. There he met Almighty Lord Vishnu, with four arms having Shankha, Chakra, Gada and Padma, wearing a tulsi mala in his neck. He started to pray and requested, "O Lord, you are the supreme power. Nothing can touch you. Not even the wind or mind can get you. You help your devotees to overcome their sufferings and sorrows." Hearing all the pleadings of Sadhu Narad Muni, the Almighty Supreme Lord Vishnu, knowing everything, asked Narad Muni, "O Narad, why have you come to me? And what do you want from me? Tell me, I want to hear the same from you." Yogi Raj Muni replied, "O Lord, I just went to Mrityulok where I saw all kinds of human beings suffering due to their previous karma. Is there no way that their suffering becomes less, or is it possible that they can get complete moksha or relief from their sufferings? If so, please let us know." The Lord at once replied, "O Narad, you have asked a very good question for the benefit of all humankind. To free mankind from all sufferings and to ultimately reach heaven, there is one fast. And today I will tell you all about it. Anyone who does Sri Satyanarayan Vrat and Puja in the right way will get all pleasures on earth and will reach his goal." Yogi Raj Narad Muni then asked, "O Lord, has anyone kept this fast before? This fast is done on which day and how exactly is it done?" Lord Vishnu said, "Whosoever does Bhagwan Sri Satyanarayanji's Katha with Brahmin and with his family with full rights will be relieved of his sufferings and sorrows, will be bestowed with increase in wealth and wisdom, will be blessed with children, get overall victory and increased devotion. For this prayer one requires bananas, ghee, milk and churi, which is made with wheat flour, ghee and sugar. After the prayers, all present must have prasad and then take their meals together and then sing, praise and chant mantras of Lord Satyanarayan. By doing this, their wishes will be fulfilled." This concludes Chapter 1 of Lord Satyanarayan Swamiji. Sab bolo Satyanarayan Swamiji ki jai. Chapter 2. The Lord said, "O Narad, now I will tell you about the first person who did this fast. In a place named Sundar Kashipur, there used to live a very innocent Brahmin. In hunger and thirst, he used to roam for his daily bread. When the loving Lord saw the Brahmin in sorrow and begging daily, he took disguise of an old Brahmin and asked him, 'O dear, why are you so sad?' The Brahmin told the Lord, 'I am a poor Brahmin and I roam daily for bread. Do you know if there is any way to come out of all of this sorrow?" The old Brahmin said, "Lord Satyanarayan grants all the wishes of all the people. If you pray to him and keep his fast, you will overcome all of your sorrow and get moksha." After telling him all the details of the prayer and the fast, the old Brahmin, that is the Lord, disappeared. The Brahmin could not sleep that night. He kept thinking of the fast and the prayer which the Lord had asked him to do. In the morning he woke up with the thought that anyhow he must do the prayer and went out for his bhiksha. On that day, the Brahmin got a lot of money from which he bought all of the necessary things for the prayer, called his family and did Lord Satyanarayan's prayer. By doing so, the Brahmin overcame all his sorrows and became rich. From that time onwards, he used to do the prayers every month without fail. In this way, whoever does Lord Satyanarayan's prayer will get moksha. Anyone on earth who does this prayer will be relieved from all sorrows. When Narad Muni noticed that the people on the earth were eager to know about other people who kept this fast, he narrated another story. The same Brahmin, now a rich person, used to do the prayer every month without fail with his family. Once he was doing his prayer, a woodcutter passed from there. After keeping the bundle of wood outside the Brahmin's house, he went in for some water. The thirsty woodcutter saw Brahmin doing his prayers. He bowed down to the Brahmin and asked him, "Oh Brahmin, what are you doing? Please tell me all about it." The Brahmin replied, "To grant all the wishes of the human beings, this fast and prayer is useful. I have acquired all the wealth and fame by doing this prayer of Lord Satyanarayan ji." After hearing about the prayer and drinking the water, the woodcutter felt happy. Thinking of Lord Satyanarayan ji in his mind, he said, "Whatever today I get from selling the wood, I will also do this prayer." So he kept the bundle of wood on his head and left homewards. On the way home, he went roaming in Sundarnagar for selling the wood. On that day, he got 4 times more money than usual. Feeling happy, he went and bought all the things necessary for the prayers, that is, bananas, sugar, ghee, wheat flour, etc., and proceeded homewards. On reaching his house and after cleaning it, he called his family and did the prayer with due respect. The reward of this fast was that he became rich and had all the pleasures of life on this earth, and in the end of his life he went to heaven. This concludes the second chapter of Lord Satyanarayan Swami. Sab bolo Satyanarayan Swami ji ki jai. Chapter 3. Sadhuraj Narad said, "O dear people, now let me tell you another story. There was a king named Ulkamuk. He was very wise. He would go daily to the temples and give donations to the Brahmins. At the banks of Madhushala river, one day, when they were doing Lord Shri Satyanarayanji's prayer, a wealthy businessman was passing from there. He anchored his boat and went up to the king and asked him, 'O king, what are you doing with so much bhakti?' The king replied, 'I am praying to the great Almighty, the boon giver Lord Shri Satyanarayanji for a son.' The merchant, on hearing this, requested king to tell him all about the fast. The king told him the full details of the prayer and fast. After hearing all of the details, he decided in his mind to keep this fast. On reaching home, he told his wife Leelavati all about the fast and the prayer and said, "We will do this fast when we get a child." One day, with the grace of Lord Satyanarayanji, his wife became pregnant. In 10 months' time, she gave a birth to a beautiful daughter. They named her Kalavati. Days passed by. One day, Leelavati slowly and sweetly reminded her husband about the prayer and the fast and requested him to fulfill his promise. The merchant told his wife that during the time of Kalavati's wedding, it would be easy to observe the same, for at the moment he was busy in his business. So saying, he left for his business trip to various villages. Kalavati grew up to be a beautiful girl. When the merchant saw that his daughter was of marriageable age, he called the matchmaker and requested him to search an equal match for his daughter. Hearing the merchant's request, the matchmaker reached Kanchannagar. From there, he brought the proposal of a young handsome boy. The merchant liked the proposal, for the boy had all good qualities too. He then spoke to the boy's parents and fixed his daughter's marriage. The marriage was done with all the religious ceremonies and rituals. Unfortunately, the merchant forgot all about his promise to do Lord Satyanarayanji's prayer and fast. The Lord got angry at the false promise made by the merchant. The merchant, after a few days, left for his business trip with his son-in-law. They anchored their boat in a beautiful village named Ratnapur. In those days, King Chandraketu used to rule the village. The Lord was angry with the merchant for the false promise made by him, and so he wanted to teach him a lesson. One day, the thieves robbed the wealth of the king, and they went and stayed where the merchant was staying. Seeing the guards following them, they left all the loot over there where the merchant was staying and hid themselves. When the guards reached the merchant's place, they saw all of the king's wealth. Thinking them to be robbers, they handcuffed the merchant and his son-in-law and took them to the king and told him that they were responsible for the theft. The king, without questioning or listening to them, ordered to put them in a dark cell. Due to Lord Satyanarayanji's Maya, nobody heard them. Even their wealth was confiscated by the king. At the merchant's house, the thieves robbed all their wealth, and his wife and daughter had to beg for their daily bread. One day, begging for food, Kalavati reached a Brahmin's house, where at that time Lord Satyanarayanji's puja was going on. After listening to the prayer and taking the prasad, she left for home. By that time, it had become dark. Leelavati was worried. She asked her daughter Kalavati, "Why are you so late?" To which Kalavati told her mother, "Oh mother, today in the Brahmin's house, I heard a prayer. By doing this prayer and the fast, all your wishes get fulfilled." On hearing this, Leelavati started doing all preparations for the prayer of Lord Satyanarayanji. She did the fast and prayer and asked the Lord for forgiveness and prayed that her husband and her son-in-law should return home safely. Lord Satyanarayanji was pleased with the prayer and the fast. One day he told King Chandraketu in his dream, "O king, you must release the merchant and his son-in-law from the dark cell tomorrow morning. Give them their wealth and set them free. If you do not do so, your kingdom will be destroyed." In the morning, the king called the court people and told them about the dream. The court people, after hearing about the dream, came to conclusion to free the merchant and his son-in-law. They asked the guards to bring the prisoners from the dark cell. King Chandraketu gave them good clothes, all their wealth and plus some more, and set them free. The king told them that due to their wrongdoings, they had to undergo this suffering. But now, there was nothing to fear, and they could go back home. They bowed down to the king and left homewards. This concludes chapter 3 of Lord Satyanarayan Swami Ji. Sab bolo Satyanarayan Swami Ji ki jai. Chapter 4. Sut Ji said, "The merchant prayed first and then gave some wealth to the Brahmin before starting his journey homewards. When they went a little further, Lord Satyanarayanji wanted to test them. He took the disguise of an old man and went up to the merchant and asked him, 'What is in your boat? Give me little from there.' In his ego and pride, the merchant replied, 'O old man, we have nothing in our boat except hay and leaves.' On hearing such harsh words from the merchant, the Lord said, 'Your words will be true.' So saying, he went from there and sat on the bank of the river. When the Lord went away, the boat started to rise higher in the water. The merchant was surprised at this. When he went to check in the boat, he saw that his boat was filled with leaves and hay only. Seeing this, he fainted. When he came to his senses, he was very much worried. He said, "How could this happen?" At this, his son-in-law told him, "Do not cry over this. All this happened because you spoke harshly to the old man and lied to him. Still, nothing is lost. You could go back to him and ask for forgiveness, and he will set everything right." The merchant, after hearing the words of his son-in-law, went in search of the old man. He bowed down before him with respect and said, "O Lord, please forgive me for the false, harsh words that I have spoken to you." So saying, he bowed down with the tears of sorrow in his eyes. When the Lord saw the merchant in the state of sorrowness and crying for forgiveness, he said, "Do not cry. Listen to me. Due to your false promise, you have seen all this sorrow and suffering." On hearing the Lord say this, the merchant said, "O Lord, nobody can recognize your Maya. Not even the gods or Brahmins know your ways and forms. I promise that I will pray to you." So saying, he asked for forgiveness. He said, "Please forgive me, and let my boat be filled with the wealth once again, like before." On hearing the merchant's words, filled with bhakti, the Lord was happy, and he fulfilled his wish. When the merchant mounted his boat and saw it full with his wealth again, he thanked the Lord and said, "With Lord Satyanarayanji's grace, my wish is fulfilled. When I reach home, I will do his prayer and fast." So saying, he left homewards. When the merchant saw his hometown Ratanpur is nearing, he sent a messenger in advance to his house to inform his wife and daughter of his homecoming. The messenger, on reaching the merchant's house, bowed down to the merchant's wife and gave them the most awaited news that the merchant and his son-in-law have reached Ratanpur. Leelavati had just finished doing her Satyanarayan Puja. She told her daughter to finish doing the prayer and then come and receive her husband and her father. Kalavati finished doing her prayers quickly and without taking the prasad left to meet her husband. The Lord got angry at her behavior, so he drowned her husband with the boat. When Kalavati did not see her husband, she was shocked and she fainted on the floor. On seeing his daughter in this state of affairs and the sudden disappearance of the boat, the merchant was shocked. He prayed to Lord Satyanarayanji, asked him for forgiveness, and prayed to the Lord to take him out of this difficulty. The Lord then made an announcement. "O merchant, your daughter in hurry to meet her husband has left my prasad. Hence you cannot see her husband. Now when she goes back and takes the prasad with due respect and then returns, only then she will be able to see her husband." On hearing the voice, Kalavati ran home, ate the prasad and came back and met her husband. When the merchant saw this, he was very happy. The merchant then did Lord Satyanarayanji's prayers and fast with his family every month. Finally, he had all the pleasures of life, and after death, he went to heaven. This concludes Chapter 4 of Lord Satyanarayan Swami Ji. Sab bolo Satyanarayan Swami Ji ki jai. Chapter 5. Suji said, "O people, listen further to another story. A king named Tungdhwaj was famous for his generosity to his subjects, but he had to suffer a lot due to disrespect he had shown to the prayer of Lord Satyanarayanji and his prasad, which he did not accept when it was offered to him. One day, when hunting in the forest, he sat down under a tree. There he saw few villagers doing the prayer of Lord Satyanarayanji. The king saw all this, but due to his false ego, neither did he join them nor bow down to the idol of the Lord. When the villagers gave him the prasad, he did not accept it and went away from there. When the king reached his kingdom, he saw that everything was destroyed and all his 100 sons were lying dead on the floor. The king realized that this all happened due to his false ego. So thinking, he started walking towards the place where all the villagers were doing their prayers. There with them, he did the prayers of Lord Satyanarayan and had the prasad and the charnamrit, that is milk, sugar, curd, tulsi leaves and honey mixed together, and put it in all of his sons' mouths. By doing this, all his sons became all right. He got back all his wealth and comforts of life, and finally, in the end, after he died, he went to heaven. Anybody who keeps this fast with full faith and recite the prayers of Lord Satyanarayan, all his wishes will be fulfilled. With the grace of the Lord, he will get eternity. The wealthless will receive wealth and will go to heaven, and finally will come out of the circle of birth and death. The names of the person who kept this fast and took rebirth are as follows. The Brahmin took birth as Sudama. In his entire life, he served Lord Krishna and attained moksha. King Ulkamuk took birth as King Dashrath, and in that life he became father of Lord Rama and attained eternity. The merchant took birth as King Murad and got moksha. King Tungdhwaj took birth as Kevat, who took Lord Rama across the river, served him and got moksha. In this way, whoever does Lord Satyanarayan's prayers will be free from all sorrows and will ultimately reach heaven and get moksha. This concludes chapter 5 of Lord Satyanarayan Swami Ji. Sab bolo Satyanarayan Swami Ji ki jai.